Helga recently saw her grandfather Morgan off on his last journey. Today, she mourns for him and looks at pictures of her as a little girl sitting on his neck. Morgan was a wonderful old man. Everyone in the village respected him. He knew and could do many things. When Helga grew up, her grandfather gave her money and sent her to study in his city. Helga graduated recently and started working as a nurse. But she always dreamed of returning to her home village and being there for her grandfather when he needed her care. Morgan was 84 years old, but in good health. The last time Helga spoke to him in the phone, her grandfather had said he was going to the forest this weekend, where he had worked as a caretaker all his life. Helga was at ease with him. She had planned to transfer to her village for work in a couple of years. But suddenly, the bad news came from neighbors. "Helga, we are very sorry, but Mr. Morgan died last night," they reported. Helga still can't believe that her beloved grandfather passed away so soon. Now, she is left as his sole heir. The house he lived in was all but cozy, of the best years of her childhood. After going through all the odd things in the house, Helga decided it was time to change the wooden floor so that it would creak less at night, and Helga wouldn't be scared when she was alone. She had already made arrangements with a local carpenter, who promised that he would stop by in the next few days and go to work. Helga decided to take care of the rugs for now, and when she picked up one of the old carpets, she found a strange find on the floor. It was an old heavy paper with a piece of hair inside it. On the paper was some writing in an incomprehensible language. Helga put the find aside and continued to go about her business. She had no idea what this strange find held. Several days she passed. One evening, Helga sat by the fireplace reading one of her grandfather's books. She heard a faint knocking on the window. She became afraid, for she was not expecting visitors at this late hour. After a moment, the knock came again. Helga cautiously looked out the window, and when she saw something scary there, she immediately closed the curtains. Outside the window, she saw an unassuming old woman with loose, long hair, her face pale, and her eyes cold as if she were a dead man. Helga had imagined evil sorceresses from children's fairy tales. She felt scared, but the knocking didn't stop, and the intruder wasn't going to leave. "I have a job to do. I must go inside," said the old woman in a squeaky voice. "I don't know you, so go away or I will call the police," she said. "The police won't help you. Your grandfather and I had an arrangement. I've come to fulfill it. If you don't believe me, ask your neighbor Betty tomorrow. She knows everything. I'll be back tomorrow," said the old lady and left. Helga stayed up all night. In the morning, she knocked on Betty's neighbor's door and told her what had happened. She wasn't surprised. "Oh, the old witch was banished from the neighboring village. She did a lot of bad things to a lot of people there. Then she came to live with us. Because of her, the villagers had so many problems. She's a terrible old woman. She hates everyone." Morgan knew what her power was. He caught her one day, cut off a piece of her hair, and put it on a manuscript with a secret text. From that day on, the sorceress lost her power, and then was peace in the village. But she came to your grandfather's house every night and sat under his window until morning to get her hair back. Then your grandfather gave her a job. He introduced her to sit inside the house by the fireplace and blow on the fire at night to keep it burning. He promised to return her hair someday if she repented her evil deeds, Betty told me. "So, what shall I do next? Maybe she'll give her hair back?" Helga asked. "Absolutely not. She hates everyone. She will return to her old ways when you give her the hair, and then you will see that there's either a fire or a flood in the village every day, and the villagers started getting strange diseases. Better make the old hog work for you. But don't give her the hair, Betty advised. Helga was amazed by the story. Betty was right. That same night, there was another knock on the window. I've come to fulfill a condition of the contract. Morgan promised to get my hair back. Let me in the house, demanded the old woman. Helga was very afraid of her, but she let her in. You go to bed. Don't worry about the fire in the fireplace. I will blow on it to keep the house warm, she promised. Helga couldn't sleep soundly at all. She was afraid, but the first night passed peacefully. The old woman faithfully kept the fire burning until morning, and in the morning, she left unnoticed. The second night, she came near midnight and sat by the fireplace. The night she was passed without incident. Helga began to get used to the old woman's presence. This continued for many days. Sometimes, Helga would get up at night and watch the old woman. She did her job honestly. She continuously blew on the fire. In time, Helga began to feel sorry for the old woman. One day, they spoke to each other. I'm ready to give you your hair. I know where it is, she said. The old woman rejoiced. A gleam appeared in her dull eyes. But I have a condition, Helga said. I hear you have done much evil to your neighbors. You will have to make it right. I'm ready, said the old woman. Then tomorrow, you will make sure that Farmer Kevin's son, who has been lying in a bed with an unknown disease for 2 years because of your sorcery, will recover, said Helga. The old woman agreed. Not a week later, the good news spread through the village that a young boy named Bruce, who had been paralyzed, had begun to walk. Helga was glad that she had reached an agreement with the sorceress. I like the way you getting better, she said the next time. You must ensure Forrest John's family gets their own house again, because I heard that one made their house burn to the ground, Helga said. The old lady hesitated but agreed. A couple of weeks later, Helga passed by the ruins of John's house and saw the construction going on there. She asked what was going on there, to which John said, We were just lucky. My son Howard made an excellent real estate deal. He gave me all the money he earned to build a new house. The house will be ready soon, said John. Helga was pleased again. This time she even praised the old woman. She smiled with her toothless mouth and asked, Give me my hair now. I can't wait any longer. No, you and I still have a lot of unfinished business. I heard Tom the fisherman abandoned his family because he bewitched him to the local slut Kelly. Now Tom is a miserable alcoholic and his children are suffering without him. Ensure Tom returns to his family and that Kelly leaves him alone, said Helga. I will, promised the old lady. A week later, Helga visited old Betty to inquire about her health. Did you hear the good news? Tom and his wife had been an incredible couple until Kelly. This girl showed up and meddled in his family. She had help from the witch Matilda, and now I heard Tom's come to his senses, quit drinking, and go back to his family, she told me. Why do you think there is such a change? Did the sorceress come to her senses? Helga asked. I don't think so. She may be pretending to come to her senses. Don't be in a hurry to let her go. Please don't give her hair away under any circumstances. It contains her witchcraft powers. Betty said if she gets it, she will take revenge on you. But Matilda, the sorceress herself, disagreed. Have I ever lied to you? Have you ever caught me doing anything dishonest? Why don't you believe me? Resented the sorceress when she came in the evening of the day. I need to think about it. Who else have you wronged? Why don't you cancel them all? Then there's a good chance of you be forgiven by all the villagers and get your hair back, said Helga. The sorceress was a little sad but continued to guard the fire in the fireplace until morning. Helga now trusted her completely and stopped even checking on her at night. One evening, she did not come to her. which surprised Helga. 2 more nights passed without her. That morning, Helga got up early to meet a farmer from a neighboring village who brought fresh milk and sour cream for sale early in the morning. Usually, all the villagers gather at the local kabaka, where the farmer parks his old truck. Also, not far from the kabak is the only church in the village. While people stood waiting for the farmer's truck, the morning service in the church was over. Lovely old women in flowery shawls came out individually and went home. "Looks, it's Matilda," whispered someone from the crowd, pointing toward the church. "What did she lose there? They probably want to insult the deacon again. They have a complicated relationship," whispered someone else. Helga didn't hesitate and went to meet the sorceresses. "Hi, why did you stop coming to me?" she asked. "As you can see, now I spend my nights in church. I remember God and repented of my evil deeds. I asked the deacon for forgiveness. He said that God will forgive me," Matilda replied. "I'm very happy for you. I will tell everyone that you have given up the service of evil and taken the path of truth. But you come to me tonight, and we will talk about your hair," Helga promised. Matilda no longer believed her words. She waved her hand indifferently and went to her house in the outskirts of the village. When Helga told her that the sorceresses had given up serving the dark forces, the villagers took it confidently. If she was sincere in her decision, she was now unlikely to want to harm anyone. "People need to be trusted," said someone in the crowd. "Morgan did the right thing when he took her hair. And Helga, good for you for convincing the sorceress to give up her evil. We have defeated the dark forces," said someone else. That evening, Matilda went to Helga's house. "Now I know how to combine going to church with going to you. Let me continue to serve you," she said, and sat by the fireplace. This went on for some time. Helga noticed that Matilda often walks without moods. She has no desire to talk to anyone and asks questions briefly. Mostly, she prefers to be busy with work, but one day, they had an interesting conversation. "Matilda, do you have any loved ones?" Helga asked. "Don't ask. I don't like to answer such questions, but I know all about you. A great love will soon come into your life," she replied. "Are you serious? Who is it?" Helga asked coquettishly. "You will find out when the time comes. In the meantime, kindly give me my hair, my dark power, stored in your grandfather's papers, could interfere with your happiness," Matilda said. "The great love looming in your life could be great sorrow for you." "Oh, that's how it is. It's a transparent with you. You just decided to use such a legend to lure me out of my hair. I'm sorry. I can't give it to you yet. Your dark power has already frightened too many people," Helga replied and went to bed. She didn't notice that the sorceresses held a grudge against her. Helga found out about it for past midnight, when she was awakened by her screaming at the bedside. "Give me my hair back, and I will burn you bad," Matilda shouted, holding a burning log. "Hey, you can't do that. You mustn't break our agreement. If my house burns down, you will never get your hair. It will burn with it." Helga tried to calm the witch down. "I'm tired of serving you. What have I done to get my piece of hair back? There is a limit to everything. All Morgan wanted was to keep the fire burning in his fireplace forever, and you've been greedy. You've made me to do so much that I'm powerless, have nothing to lose now. Either you give up my hair, or you and I will burn here together," Matilda said, holding the burning log up to the bedroom curtains. Helga was frightened and rushed to the exit, but the front door was locked. Matilda had thought of everything. "I'll make you a deal. You get the keys to the door in exchange for my hair. Otherwise, we will burn together," she said. fiddling with Helga's keychain. There needs to be more time. Look, it's already smoking. Hurry up, Morgan's granddaughter. Matilda sounded intimidating. Helga hurriedly went to the closet, pulled out a piece of paper with a witch's hair on it, and handed it to her. She snatched it from the girl's hands and threw the lock into the fireplace. Then she pressed the piece of hair to her chest, took a deep breath, and exhaled as loudly as if a strong wind had blown from outside. The smoldering house immediately cleared of smoke. The curtains stopped burning, and the witch herself rushed for the exit. Not 2 weeks later, more bad news began to spread through the village. Old Betty knew all about it and often shared with Helga at the table. They said Tom was drinking again. Now he's also started beating his wife. Yesterday, the neighbors barely broke them up and turned him into the police. It's all because Kelly, this girl, is back. She's supposedly calling him back to her place, Betty said. Too bad. Although Matilda has cancelled her black magic, maybe they have just temporary difficulties. You're such a naive girl, Helga. Everyone knows Matilda's doing. She's an evil woman. She loves no one, and her dark power makes her do evil things to others. It's her doing it. Betty was convinced. A week later, Helga was walking past Farmer Kevin's house when he saw his wife, Sarah, sitting on the porch crying. Helga sat down beside her to see what was the matter. My son is sick again and lying in bed. On top of that, Kevin was contracted a virus he doesn't understand. The doctor says they both have a short time to live. I'm heartbroken, Sarah said. How did this happen? Why did it get so bad all of a sudden? Your son got back on his feet and even started to ride a horse, didn't he? Helga asked. It's all clear who did it. It's Matilda. She passed by other day, stopped at our house and said something. She's done it again. You shouldn't have given her hair away, Sarah said. Helga came home in a bad mood. It was impossible to catch Matilda and cut off a piece of her hair. Only her strong and brave grandfather Morgan could do the job. There were no more such people in the village. Helga began to think about how to help the people of her town. Toward evening, an idea popped into her head, and she immediately implemented it. That same evening, Helga went to Matilda's house. Seeing her, the villagers were terrified and tried to stop her, but Helga walked with determination. She carried a basket in her hand. Then she knocked on the wooden gate of the old house. Matilda opened it immediately. What have you lost here? She asked. I'm sorry. You work in my house for so many years, and I've never thanked you. Please, accept this fruit basket. I'm from the bottom of my heart in gratitude, said Helga. The witch was confused by the unexpected pleasant gesture. She looked at the basket with a suspicion, sullenly accepted, and closed the door in Helga's face. Helga carried something to the witch house a couple of days later. The villagers watched her with interest. When Matilda opened the door, Helga said, I baked a berry pie and thought I will treat you. I realize you may be lonely. If so, consider me for a friend. We love you very much, she said. Matilda was even more confused this time. There is nothing to love me for. I do nothing but evil to people, she said. Before you started doing evil, you were kind to people. But maybe someone hurt your soul and it stopped feeling human warmth. Your soul wants to feel it again, but it does it weirdly and childishly. I see a bright person in you, Helga said. Matilda silently stepped away from the door and invited Helga into her house. At the table, she told her story. I never dreamed of possessing such dark power. I was a little girl when a massive tornado hit our village. We played in the garden near the house and had no time to hide when the powerful current propelled me into the vortex. I was lifted into the sky, experiencing an eerie fear. At that moment, I felt that some power had appeared in me. This power helped me land in a relatively safe place. Then I learned that it was vortex. Almost no one survived. Only I managed to stay intact. For that, I thank the dark force that had helped me survive. But that force was no my master. It wasn't going anywhere. It became embedded in my thoughts. Since then, if I think evil thoughts about someone, that person gets in trouble. I didn't go any magic rituals on purpose. It's all the power of my thoughts, Matilda said. I know. I believe in you. That's why I came here. If you know that people treat you well, you won't have evil thoughts about them. I will tell everyone tomorrow that you're a human being like the others. No more pointing fingers at you and thinking you're a witch. And you, try to be with us, Helga advised. Several months later, she passed before the wicked woman believed people. Gradually, neighbors began communicating with her, calling her to visit them for holidays. Matilda became convinced that people were not so bad. Now, she had no desire to use her dark power.